Good morning. So, look, as always, win, lose, or draw on Wednesday, we changed the page. No different this week. I did, have an opportunity today in the squad meeting to kind of show the areas that we've improved at and things that we just have to get better at. And I think the guys really took that stuff to heart. One thing just on both sides of the ball as far as targets are concerned is protecting the football and the takeaways. Like we just have to do a better job in those two areas. It's good to get back in the division. I will say, this isn't the same Dolphins team that we played before. That was also a reminder to the guys where you feel like a team at the same time. They're going to do things different, and Tua's here, and you can see just the difference in that offense with Tua out there. Very good player for him. You talk about their receivers. Obviously, one word to describe those guys it's just fast. Those guys are blazers, and we have some fast guys on defense too. So this, will probably be a little bit more of a matchup game. But those guys have fast players on the outside. I will say the backs don't get enough love. I think their running backs are very good, especially with the scheme that they run. And then the tight end, John was doing a good job and has been coming on as of late as far as his run after catch stuff. So doing a good job for him there. Defensively, starts up front. With the bigs, Seiler and Campbell. Very active up front. It's going to be a challenge or an opportunity for us to go out there and do a good job on those guys. Once you get the down guys there, you go to the next level. I would say Brooks is doing a good job as the season continues to progress. And then obviously in the back end, you have some good players there in Ramsey and Holland and the rest of those guys. So definitely going to be a huge challenge for us. One piece of good news, Cole Strange will return to practice today, which is exciting. Not only just for him to get back out there, but just understanding the journey that he has taken to even get to this point. And oftentimes those things get looked over, but it is a journey. Anytime you're coming back from injury, which I know the feeling, it's not a straight line to getting back to, the way you used to play. It takes time going through rehab and all those things. It's been a long year for Cole, but again, excited to have him out there. Questions?
Sir. Hey, go ahead. Is there a timeline for when Cole may be able to return to the game field, or are you kind of just taking it day by day?
Yeah, we just got to take it day by day. Like I said, it's his first time going to be out there, first time out there. Just take it one day at a time.
You mentioned previously that Cole can see snaps at center. Will he focus on center when he comes back, or will it be play guard?
Well, first I think just going through the individual drills and see how he responds to that stuff is the most important thing. He does have the flexibility to play center and play guard. He's been getting extra work at center. Dave Andrews has done a good job with him as well. Going back to a guy that he's on IR for the year, but just his leadership remains in the building. And one of those tasks has been to help Cole understand the center position while he wasn't able to be on the practice field.
When you look at Miami, I'm sure you looked at this. I think 4 straight we've lost, 6 of 7. Do you do anything different as a head coach? Do you go down earlier? How do you look at what goes on in Miami for you guys as a franchise?
Yeah, I would say this year it's when you go to Miami at this point in the year is a lot different than going to Miami at the beginning of the year. And so for us, it comes down to execution. That's what it comes down to.
We didn't ask you about this today, but obviously the team moved on from Tyquan Thornton and signed in Kansas City. Just your thoughts on what went into the decision.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of love for Tyquan, and obviously he's a fast receiver, and he did a lot of things right. In saying that, we're always trying to do what's best for our football team.
Jerod, just kind of curious, what are your weekly interactions like with Drake Maye? Do you sit down with him one-on-one? Do you totally leave him to AVP? Like, what's your interaction?
No, I think the head coach always has to have a good relationship with the starting quarterback, and we talk every day.
Caden Wallace, start the clock or not yet?
Not yet on Caden. One at a time, Mike. One at a time.
Jerod, what did you guys see from Titus Leo that you wanted to work with him?
Yeah, just a versatile player, has good size, good athleticism, and hopefully he can help us on defense and really special teams as well.
Did you get to know Jim Montgomery at all? I know your time didn't overlap a ton, but did you guys have a relationship?
No.
Jerod, when you see that the way that Drake's been playing and seems to be improving each week, is there any part of you that's surprised with how well he's been playing?
No, I will say this, one of his strengths that you continue to see now, he's not a repeat error guy. And there are definitely looks that he still hasn't seen or we haven't practiced against. And, it may confuse him at first, but he's not a repeat error guy. And that's a good trait for a quarterback to have.
I know you said believe it's extending plays is the most important quality you want in a quarterback. You see in a quarterback. When did you come to believe that, and what made you come to that realization?
No, I mean, look at the quarterbacks around the league that we throw in the top tier. All of them have the ability to extend plays. Now, with that being said, he is a quarterback, and there are times where it's like just stay in the pocket and throw the ball. But to be able to at least even have the threat of scrambling definitely helps offenses out and the offensive line.
Because that's obviously different from the quarterback you faced. When you were playing, right? Most pocket-bound guys, and since you started coaching here, the top quarterbacks have that kind of mobility and ability to extend. Is that something that changed in your philosophy or viewpoint during those periods?
I would say there was a mix of quarterbacks, at least when I played. It may not be let's say the Lamar Jackson, but you got to think like Michael Vick was doing some of that stuff. And I would also throw a guy like Ben Roethlisberger in there who he wasn't very elusive, but he was hard to bring down in the pocket. And so, I mean, I'm sure you've seen all the missed tackles on Ben Roethlisberger, but that also is an extended play.
Go for it. Way back?
My guy.
Every team seems to have at least two really top-tier receivers, from the Bengals to Seattle. Last week, you guys dealt with Kupp and Nakua. How do you guys determine when you see Waddle and Tyreek Hill? How do you determine what you're going to do in the secondary week to week? When do the conversations start?
Well, I think the first thing, this is a little bit different. You look at last week, it was more about the size matchup. This week, it's about the speed matchup. And, we have guys in the locker room who have covered those guys relatively well. And we just have to continue to do that. I would say when you look at like matchups like that, it's always fun to see a guy travel with a guy. But again, they learn you and you're learning them during the game. And I think there is something to sometimes changing those matchups up just to throw it off.
I was going to ask somewhat of a similar question, just based on what you said in the opening statement. They have speedy guys, and then you have speedy guys, so it might be more of a matchup game. So I think
No, that's right. That's exactly right.
I was wondering if there was any follow-up off of the Rams game, where some of our discussion was with Christian and match.
Which is it's a fair point. What I would say, like in the man, I went back and looked at that as well. So in the man-to-man snaps, Christian was on one of those top two guys the majority of the time. And now in zone, it really doesn't matter. No, I shouldn't say it doesn't matter where he is, but in those man-to-man snaps, he was, for the most part, where we wanted him to be.
Travis, you've watched the Dolphins under Tua since he became their quarterback. Why does he fit this offense so well? The ball comes out so quick.
That's right. Yeah, I think the first thing is you have a bunch of receivers, and now even putting the back and Jonnu in there as well, that they have good run after catch ability, and you hit it on the head. The quickness that the ball comes out and gives those guys an opportunity to run is definitely a strength of Tua's.
My quarterback wide receiver conversation, how much of it all does history play into it when you talk about a guy specifically like Jonathan Jones and Tyreek Hill?
I think you take those things into consideration, while at the same time, maintaining the right to kind of change those matchups up.
Jerod, Miami historically has been a weird place for this team to play no matter the time of year. Why do you think that is, and do you address that with the guys this week?
I think it, well, first and foremost, I won't address it with the guys as far as the struggles that we've had in Miami, even though they're probably listening to me right now. But what I will say is every game is unique. Every game is unique. It's a tough place to play. It's not that it's super loud or anything like that. We just haven't been able to get over the hump.
Coach, sorry to keep harping on the matchups in the Rams game, but in some of the base packages or the red zone where there were only two receivers, in hindsight, would you maybe have put Christian on one of Kupp or Nakua if Demarcus Robinson was the other receiver, or did you think the plan was solid?
No, we thought the plan was solid with, still being able to change it if need be. So that's how we thought.
How important was it to have, the first time all season we've seen back-to-back starting O-line the same? How important was that, and do you intend to kind of do the same this week?
It's huge. It's huge. Look, we'll see what this week looks like, but we've been talking about this since training camp. The continuity up front. What I will say is having that group up front and really starting the games faster has definitely helped us.
What's been the advantage of having Michael Lennon at guard versus tackle in these last 2 weeks?
Yeah, just solidifying the inside part of the pocket. You always want to make sure that the quarterback has an opportunity to step up in the pocket, especially with two good edge rushers.
You mentioned up top protecting the ball and getting takeaways. What aren't you seeing defensively that leads to takeaways? How do you get those?
Well, these guys, it's a mindset, and it's about, gang tackling and punching at the ball. And I've always believed that, turnovers come in bunches, and so hopefully that's the case now.
Jerod, you mentioned a couple weeks ago, way in the back, hey.
Ladies first. Go ahead, Karen.
Okay.
I'll come
on
back.
an audio.
I'll come back to you. I'll come back.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You've mentioned this kind of the rookie coach and a learning season for you too, like any rookie. Have you found that the trial and error component of it has lessened over time, or is there so much more for you to glean as the season goes on?
Yeah, I think there's so much more for me to learn. I had a conversation. Who was I talking to? I was talking to someone, and they have a good relationship with Andy Reid, and he asked him what he did in the offseason. This is after he's a seasoned coach, all these Super Bowls, and he just like watched like 1,000 plays of just red area offense and defense. And to me, like you have to stay growing. Like you can't be stagnant in this world. Go ahead, Phil.
So Drake had 8 scrambles against the Titans a few weeks ago, and we've asked you about designed runs for the quarterback, and you said, he's taking enough hits, just scrambling around, and you guys have been okay with that. The scramble numbers have come down the last couple weeks. I think he's got 7 in the last 2 games.
Yeah.
Would you guys reconsider that plan for the designed quarterback run game if he's not scrambling as much?
Well, our message to Drake, and we've had multiple conversations about this, is to maintain being a quarterback as long as possible. And that's what we expect. Now, in saying that, absolutely, there will be game plan runs at a certain time. We're still evolving as an offense, and I think Drake is continuing to get better. And so we'll put more on his plate. Thanks, guys.